Hi everyone. Today it's still April, but I'm gonna tell you the story of a few months later, which occurs on October 31st. And I think a lot of people may guess what I'm gonna talk about. Halloween! Yeah! Especially in the United States and Canada, Halloween is a big celebration for people. Every year, people spend billions of money. I mean, huge numbers of people spent billions of dollars for this holiday only. And did you know that Halloween is the second biggest celebration of the year, behind only Christmas? Today, let's do some history and get to know more about this special holiday. Let's go! Okay, so it started with the Celts. The Celts are peoples living mostly thousands of years ago in northern France, in Great Britain, and in Ireland. The Celts? Well, did you notice that the last video I talked about Celtic? Celtic is kind of related to the Celts people. The Celts come from Ireland mostly, and Joe Biden has his code name Celtic. Well, forget about that, and today we'll get to know more on Halloween. Yeah. So the Celts had an annual harvest festival called the Samhain. Well, its spelling is kind of weird. It's Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. The Samhain festival indicates the last day of the year, according to the Celtic calendar. And to us, it's just a normal day. In the past, it was just a normal day in a normal year. But for them and for us now, it's a special holiday, isn't it? So the Celts actually believed that on their New Year's Day, which is after the Samhain day, people from the underground world, or let's say dead people, can rise up and communicate with the living. The boundaries between them seems to be temporarily eliminated on the Samhain festival. And on that day, the Celts actually lit bonfires and feed them foods to help them travel back to the underground world. It was a very important tradition that really influenced the holiday we have today. So it first started with the Celts, remember that? And then we had over time to the Christianity. In that time, in the medieval Europe, Christianity had influenced on every respect of life. And they also want to change the tradition, maybe change the Celtic traditions and shift people's focus and attention towards theirs. So they have a holiday called All Saints' Day. Occurred on November 1st, and the day before that is called All Hallows Eve. And later it was shortened to Halloween. And Christianity believed that this day would go on and on with people, and then actually now it has a great influence on people. And the influence from the Catholic Church, from the Celts, and from the medieval Europe had a lot of impact on people today on Halloween celebration. Okay, so now we head to the costumes. Well, to remind you again, Halloween is a big holiday. It costs a lot of money every year, and it gains a lot of money every year. one factor is very important in this fact. It's the costumes. People spend a lot of money on their costumes and candy as well. So they have something called trick-or-treating in this day. Back in the olden days, trick-or-treating weren't called trick-or-treating. It actually started with the Celts, and they have a tradition called the mumming. Mumming is when people dressed up as animals, and then people on the streets would gave them food in order to keep the dead spirits away, all the bad spirits away. So that is a way. Mumming is now called trick-or-treating, and it is used by children a lot to get candies and to remind the adults, give them candies if they don't want any troubles happening to them. That's trick-or-treating. And of course, a lot of children got toothache after this holiday. That's about trick-or-treating. How about the lanterns that some children keep or carry as they go trick-or-treating? That's the jack-o'-lanterns. And it has a whole history for this term. Jack-o'-lantern began with a boy named Stingy Jack. When he was alive, he tricked his friends a lot. And when he died, he was kind of like cursed because of his mean personality when he was still alive. And then he was punished to actually wander around, roam in the forest, and he had to light up something to kind of like guide his way. So he turned a turnip and then carved it out and then had some lights in there and then carry it to roam in the forest and look for ways to escape. And so because of this legend, people actually don't want to communicate, or they want to find a way Jack, Stingy Jack. They also make turnips. They also make jack-o'-lanterns from turnips, from beets, and from potatoes. This is meant to find a way Jack, or perhaps to mimic Jack's terrifying faces. But in the United States, we don't see turnips a lot on Halloween, or at least it's not popular as another vegetable or maybe fruit. Do you know what it is? It's the pumpkin. Pumpkin is especially popular in the United States, and they're used as jack-o'-lanterns every year. It is easy to find in the fall, and it is large enough to actually carve any faces on them and then present them in front of the house, in front of your yards. Pumpkins is the perfect choice for Americans. Well, that's the jack-o'-lanterns. Jack of the Lanterns, or later, people just shortened them to jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lanterns. Okay, so that's about the past. Let's talk more about the past, right? And we'll get to Halloween of today later. Jack-o'-lanterns is one tradition we got from the past. And from the past, we also have some traditions like fortune telling. Do you know that there was a tradition called bobbing for apples on this day? This game is a form of fortune telling, and people would try to remove an apple from a bowl of water with only their mouths. And this is a form, I told you that this is a form of fortune telling because the first person to get an apple out of the water is predicted to be marrying earlier than any other people in the room later in their life. It's a form of fortune telling, and today we may see fortune teller in haunted house or on Halloween parties. If you're, yeah, I think we're all in Vietnam if you watch this video, and I think that Halloween is not so, or it is fact, Halloween is not as popular as in Vietnam as in the United States, but we can still carry out those traditions and some games for our friends. So be happy and feel free to have some games around your house and then get your friends in your house to celebrate Halloween. It's a form, maybe, to learn from the past, and then now you get to do whatever you want on this holiday. Trick-or-treating, or perhaps just dressing up like animals and then get some food or get some snacks from your parents. It's a good way to celebrate the holiday. And others way that people today, especially in areas like the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, is that they play pranks on other people. Well, actually, in the past, Halloween was banned in the New World or North America by the Puritans, for example. Later, it was brought back by a lot of immigrants, by a huge numbers of Irish immigrants immigrated from Europe to the New World, and they brought their traditions with them. So we have holidays, Halloweens again. But then it was criticized somehow because of the prank issue. Especially in the 1930s and 1940s, people played so much pranks that it became a major problem in the United States. And governments actually had to work very hard to turn Halloween into a family holiday where children get to receive cookies, fruit, toys, and maybe some chocolate cakes. Yeah. And on this day, like I said, it's a big business and it has a big influence and impact on the US economy particularly. And nowadays, people are still uncertain and unsure whether it's a negative impact or it's net positive. But regardless of all those negative things, we can still see Halloween as a big and happy celebrations where both children and adults get to do fun stuff and to trick other people to have fun with each other. Have a whale of time. I hope that you can use this idiom somehow to talk about have a lot of fun. Have a whale of time. Okay, so I think it's all for today's. No, not for today, but maybe. Okay, I think that's all for today's video. And thank you so much for your attention, for your listening, and for your watching. I will have more videos in the future, so keep on watching. Bye!